Before we kick things off, I just want to express my gratitude for tuning in to this video. It means a lot to us. If you enjoy our content, please consider supporting our small channel by liking and subscribing. Your support truly makes a difference. And if you find this story sending shivers down your spine, don't hesitate to leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. We love hearing from our viewers. In the solitude of my dimly lit apartment, the silence was suffocating, broken only by the gentle hum of the refrigerator. The weight of a grueling day clung to me like a dense fog, enveloping my weary soul. Seeking solace, I absent-mindedly reached for my phone, aimlessly scrolling through messages and social media updates, desperately trying to escape the unease that seemed to seep into every crevice of my existence. And then, in an instant, everything changed. A notification buzzed, causing my heart to skip a beat as I glanced at the caller ID. Grandma. It sent a shiver down my spine, for my beloved grandmother had departed this world 6 months ago. With trembling hands, I mustered the courage to answer the call, my voice barely a whisper. As the static crackled for a brief moment, a voice emerged, one that I knew all too well. It was her voice, soft and raspy, unmistakably my grandmother's. "I'm not where you think I am. Don't come looking for me," she uttered, leaving me bewildered and filled with a sense of foreboding. The call abruptly ended, leaving me in a state of shock and silence. My mind raced with countless questions, desperately seeking an explanation for what had just happened. Who could be behind this cruel prank? How could they have accessed Grandma's number? Frustrated, I dialed the number back, only to be greeted by an empty voicemail. A sinking feeling settled in my chest, as if something was terribly amiss. As night fell, sleep eluded me, and the old apartment building seemed to come alive with every creak and groan. Shadows danced on the walls, casting eerie patterns that sent shivers down my spine. Restless, I tossed and turned, haunted by my grandmother's enigmatic message. Determined to find answers, I made my way to my mother's house the next morning. Knowing how deeply she had been affected by Grandma's passing, I worried that this unsettling event would only add to her distress. However, I also hoped that she might shed some light on the situation. When I arrived, I found her in the garden, tenderly caring for the flowers that Grandma had cherished. With a hesitant voice, I began to explain what had occurred the previous night. The color drained from my mother's face, and she dropped the trowel she was holding. Trembling, she uttered words that sent a chill down my spine. "That's impossible," she whispered. Her phone was buried with her. We found ourselves frozen in shock, the weight of her words descending upon us like a heavy fog. After a brief pause, she took a deep breath and uttered, "Let's head inside. There's something I need to show you." Inside the living room, she retrieved a weathered journal from a drawer and handed it to me. "This belonged to your grandmother. She started writing in it a few months before she passed away. Maybe it holds some answers to what's been going on." Curiosity piqued. I opened the journal and delved into its contents. The majority of the entries were ordinary, chronicling her daily routines and musings. However, as I reached the entries from a month prior to her passing, the tone took a chilling turn. July 3rd. I keep catching glimpses of peculiar figures at the corner of my vision. They vanish whenever I try to focus on them directly. I can't discern if it's a trick of my eyes or something more sinister. July 10th. The phone rings at peculiar hours, yet when I answer, there's only silence on the other end. Faint whispers fill the air, but their words elude me. July 15th. I had an awful nightmare last night. I found myself in a desolate, dark place, shivering and utterly alone. Familiar voices called out my name, but I couldn't find my way back. As I absorbed these haunting entries, an unsettling sensation settled in the pit of my stomach. It became evident that something had tormented Grandma in her final days, and now it appeared to be extending its reach towards me. That evening, upon returning to my flat, I attempted to divert my attention by watching a movie, yet the sensation of being observed lingered. Glancing at the clock, it displayed 3 a.m., the eerie witching hour. Just then, my phone vibrated once more. The caller ID indicated Grandma. With a moment of hesitation, I answered the call. The urgency in my grandmother's voice was palpable this time. "You must cease your search for me. It's not safe." "Grandma, where are you?" I implored. "In a dark, cold place. They're after you next." The call abruptly ended, leaving me in a state of sheer terror. I knew I needed to uncover the truth, but I was clueless on where to begin. The journal entries hinted at mysterious entities and whispers. Could my grandmother be trapped in a realm between life and death? In the days that followed, I immersed myself in extensive research, scouring the depths of the internet in search of any information that could guide me in contacting the deceased or spirits trapped in the ethereal realm. Countless forums and articles emerged, each presenting more peculiar and spine-chilling tales than the previous one. Amidst this vast sea of knowledge, one concept stood out prominently: the existence of a liminal space, a realm where spirits could find themselves ensnared due to unresolved matters or the malevolent grip of an external force. Fueled by an unwavering determination to liberate my grandmother's spirit, I resolved to pay a visit to her final resting place. As I arrived at the cemetery on that chilly evening, the sun gracefully descended below the horizon, casting elongated shadows that danced upon the tombstones. A heavy sense of melancholy weighed upon my heart as I approached my grandmother's grave, while the wind whispered through the trees, creating an eerie symphony of mournful voices. Kneeling beside her headstone, I gently placed my hand upon the cold, unyielding earth. With a mixture of hope and trepidation, I uttered the words, "Grandma, if you are here, please grant me a sign." The air grew colder, and an inexplicable presence enveloped me from behind. My heart raced as I turned, anticipating the sight of a figure or an otherworldly entity. But to my dismay, there was nothing but the vast emptiness of the cemetery's darkness. Standing upright, I exhaled a visible breath into the frigid air, gathering my courage to speak once more. "I yearn to aid you, dear grandmother, but I am lost in knowing how. Please, guide me on this journey and reveal to me the path I must tread." Silence hung heavy in the air, as if the spirits themselves contemplated my plea. In that moment, a sense of tranquility washed over me, as if my grandmother's essence was gently embracing my soul. Though her voice remained unheard, I felt a surge of determination and resilience coursing through my veins. With renewed purpose, I vowed to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within the liminal space, to unravel the enigma that held my grandmother captive. Out of nowhere, my phone vibrated in my pocket, causing my hands to tremble as I retrieved it. A message from Grandma's number appeared on the screen, instructing me to return to the place of our cherished memories. Recollections of our time spent at the now desolate park flooded my mind, urging me to heed her call. Upon reaching the park under the moonlit sky, a haunting atmosphere enveloped the abandoned playground, shrouded in shadows and neglect. The silence was broken only by the whisper of the wind through the overgrown foliage as I made my way to the swing set where Grandma's laughter once filled the air. Just as I stood there, contemplating the eerie surroundings, my phone buzzed once more, revealing another message from Grandma. The words sent a chill down my spine as she cryptically hinted at her presence, prompting me to call out to her in a voice laced with uncertainty. Her response, carried by the cold wind, left me with a sense of foreboding, warning me not to seek her out. As I opened my mouth to respond, a sudden shift in the ground beneath me caught me off guard. It felt as if an invisible force was pulling me downwards, into an abyss of darkness. I desperately tried to scream, but to my horror, no sound escaped my lips. The world around me transformed into a realm of shadows, a distorted version of the familiar park I once knew. The trees stood gnarled and blackened, while the playground equipment was covered in layers of rust and decay. The air grew heavy with an oppressive darkness that seemed to penetrate my very soul. In a state of panic, I called out for my grandma, my voice echoing through the emptiness. And there she appeared, her form flickering like a fragile candle in the wind. "I warned you not to come," she spoke with a voice filled with sorrow. "Now, it's too late." Trembling, I asked her what was happening, where we were. With a heavy heart, she revealed that this was the place where lost souls were kept, trapped between worlds, unable to find peace. Before I could inquire further, shadowy figures emerged from the darkness, their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. They closed in on us, their presence suffocating and chilling. "Run!" Grandma's voice pierced through the air, but it was futile. The figures surrounded us, their whispers invading my mind, inflicting unbearable pain. Collapsing to the ground, my gaze fixated on my grandmother's visage, her eyes brimming with a sorrow that shattered my very core. In a hushed tone, she whispered, "I apologize. I endeavored to shield you." And then an abyss engulfed my senses. When consciousness returned, I found myself sprawled amidst the park, the first rays of dawn piercing through the foliage. Hastily rising to my feet, my heart raced within my chest. Beside me lay my phone, its screen fractured and devoid of life. In that moment, the veracity of my grandmother's caution became painfully evident. She was not where I believed her to be, and now neither was I. The shadows had ensnared yet another soul, and evading their clutches seemed futile. As I departed from the park, the weight of my grandmother's parting words lingered heavily in the atmosphere. "Do not seek me out." Presently I was the one adrift, caught betwixt realms, with the darkness ceaselessly observing, patiently awaiting the opportune instant to reclaim me within its frigid, unyielding embrace.